So here we are again, looking at some artifacts from Antiquity, and I'm gonna give you some more examples of looking at decoding the encryptions in the symbolism using the old Toltec techniques, and maybe you won't need 35 grams of mushrooms to unlock these things. I guess with power plants or whatever, it kind of does things for you automatically, which is great, but then begins the task of remembering and breaking down the process in terms of your own consciousness. And that's what this pretty much is. The symbolism is I guess a relative of consciousness, and that's what brings these kind of things alive, or gives them a life of their own. It might appear inanimate, but in fact it is in motion and moving. And I'll give you an example. Like, you can see maybe these lines all over it where I've brought out some of the geometry. If you can see here, kind of a lot of converges on the break of the floral reed, which I've unraveled here. So yeah, I've done videos, the two witnesses in Revelations from the Bible, relating that to the symbolism in Egyptian and South American depictions. So that's what we're kind of looking at here, and I'm stuck with a few specific artifacts so I don't have to go all over the show. But basically, America and Egypt, there is a feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl connection there, as with like where this was from Tutankhamun's tomb, Akhenaten's line, Tutmosis, all those kind of crew had the snake and the bird on the headdress. So yeah, most just had the snake, this crew. So looking at a feathered serpent connection, that's just one connection. But the main connection is in the techniques, in the artifacts, and a lot of the symbolism too, as it relates to consciousness. So yeah, so we can see the core knowledge despite the culture, and that's what Toltec is all about too. It's just knowledge. And like, even I did a video on Venus. It shows Renaissance artists how they modernize symbolism in modern art, if you can see the relationships there. So what I've done is kind of, you can see the geometry I've found here just by joining the dots, I guess. The dots are in the mask, and there's dots on this, where it shows you, like, just to keep it all in alignment. And like, it's weird, like, I found you can nearly take, there's different starting points as well. Okay, so if you use if you go through and you're unraveling the geometry, and you say you go into your switch off the internal dialogue, like you go into silent mode, like there's a shift of awareness there, everything slows down. You cross the eyes, as I forgot to mention in that other vid. Luckily someone mentioned in the comments in the last video. But yeah, the crossing of the eyes. And so, as I keep stating in The Mask and the Lost Books of the Maya, the real story is in the Jade Mask, and it's the same with the Ivory Box when it comes to biblical accounts on history. And I'll give you an example of why I say that. Like, just through the abstractions, like on top of the head of the female character, you have two smaller characters on either side, and in between there seems to be a translucent, more like it's blending into the surroundings, but it's got definite definition. So I think, like, because it's on the head, and where there are two or more gathered in his name, and also the two witnesses and the lampstand in between, which is what we've been looking at here in relationship to even the old physical brain. So yeah, bringing it alive, using those Toltec techniques while observing these artifacts will, in that other state, which is combining right and left brain, so the relationship between the physical eyes and a non-physical or more energetic awareness. So yeah, once you unlock that, it takes you through. And for example, like I know history repeats, so like to me it's like a lot of this is the same story, but it's probably more of a real account. Like even down here it goes into Last Supper mode. It might look like just a bunch of dots and triangles, but you go into the spaces in between, like you'll be able to see like people sitting at a table. I think you can, if you look at the not the blackened triangular objects, but you'll see a bearded man, and there's a lot of bearded men, and their eyes are directed up to this piano kind of situation. So we got like it's combining mathematics and science, and it's the same with the Jade Mask, which I suppose I'll bring up. The Jade Mask, when it's unraveled, like unleashes all these pictures, and like I explained, one of the holographic principles in quantum theory realm is the surface of the object holds probably more information, not probably, it does, it holds more information than the volume within it. And I'm sure they use some technology to encode whatever in the stones, because like they're only using the surface of stones, but when you layer it and stuff, like it brings out like countless images. And folding it, like if you go to the edges, like for example, it looks like some sort of insect, but when you bring it together, it definitely looks like the exoskeleton of some sort of scarab. type creature. But it's the same with this. Like if you go into that state, I guess there's another book, Silver Mind Control Method, not like controlling other people's minds but your own. It talks about alpha, beta states, just recognizing these states of awareness that you can shift through and making use of them. So, like I said, you can use like entheogens or whatever, but yeah, they're not always around. So, yeah, just using those techniques to observe the art, that's what the purpose of it is. That's why it's done like this. So I think I've said enough. I'm not sure. Yeah, so Egyptian, South American, there's a connection there. The techniques are very similar. I suppose I should say, like, how there's always just one eye, like looking at the observer. They could do it, I guess, correctly, anatomically correct, like, just half the eye visible, because that's not really depicting reality, but it shows like that it is a quantum encryption, because you can't observe it without you being observed as well, if you're really observing the message and going into the symbology. So that tells me also that there is a science there behind it, but it tells me a lot of things, I guess. Some of them, I don't know, it seems intuitive sometimes when I do go into it, but yeah, there is study involved of the text and everything it relates to. It's not like it's just you're gonna do like some entheogens and then bam, you've got all the answers, or bam, okay, I'll open my third eye and the knowledge of the universe comes flooding in. Like, you can open it all day long, but there are teachings out there that need to go with it. And it's the same when observing this, otherwise it's just like just a random whatever glance.